Mark Cuban didn't become a billionaire by playing it safe. When he sold his first company, he didn't stash the cash away in savings or spend it recklessly. He bet big on opportunities that scared most people. That's when I realized something. Millionaires don't think like the rest of us. Most people are stuck playing defense with money, saving a little here and there, hoping it'll be enough someday. But I learned the hard way that this mindset isn't what builds wealth. Remember pouring money into my first big idea. It failed spectacularly. I lost everything I put in. But here's the surprising part. That failure taught me lessons about money I couldn't have learned any other way. It wasn't the end, it was the beginning of something bigger. In this video, I'm going to share 5 unpopular beliefs about money that every millionaire lives by. These ideas will probably make you uncomfortable at first, but they're also why they succeed while others just survive. And here's the kicker. The last belief is the one that truly separates the wealthy from everyone else. It's something most people never understand, and it could change the way you think about wealth forever. So, are you ready to challenge everything you've been taught about money? Let's start with the first belief. Saving alone won't make you rich. How many times have you heard the advice, just save your money and you'll be fine? It's comforting, isn't it? But here's the hard truth. Saving alone will not make you rich. When I first started saving, I thought I was doing everything right. I'd skip the coffee runs, cut down on shopping, and watch my savings grow. Slowly. But one day, I realized something that completely shifted my perspective. I noticed that inflation was quietly eating away at the value of my hard-earned money. Let's look at the numbers. Imagine you save $500 every month for 20 years. That's $120,000. Sounds like a lot, right? But with inflation averaging 3% per year, the buying power of that money will be significantly less. Now, compare that to investing the same $500 monthly at an 8% yearly return. Instead of $120,000, you'd end up with over $294,000. And here's the kicker. That $294,000 isn't just a number, it's financial freedom. It's the difference between worrying about whether you can retire comfortably and having the option to retire early, travel, or start a business without hesitation. Even more, if you keep that money invested for another 10 years without adding a single extra dollar, compounding could grow it to nearly $635,000. That's the magic of investing. Your money doesn't just sit there. It multiplies over time, creating opportunities that savings alone could never provide. So, are you relying too much on saving? Or is it time to see how your money can grow and work harder for you? Even if you're investing and growing your money, there's something else millionaires know that makes an even bigger difference: the power of multiple income streams. Imagine this. You get a raise at work and for a moment everything feels great. But within a year, your expenses catch up and you're back to square one. Sound familiar? I used to think a higher salary was the answer to financial freedom. But then, I met a friend who completely changed my perspective. He earned less than me at his job, yet he had 3 income streams: rent from a property, a side hustle, and dividend-paying stocks. While I was stressing about job stability, he was always financially secure. Here's the thing, millionaires don't rely on a single paycheck. According to a study, they have an average of 7 income streams, ranging from investments and royalties to businesses. This diversification means that no matter what happens to one source, they're never left stranded. Here's something most people overlook. Relying solely on a salary also puts you at the mercy of someone else's decisions. One restructuring, one bad quarter for your company, and your entire financial stability could vanish overnight. Millionaires, on the other hand, don't just diversify their income, they diversify their control. Each income stream gives them more independence, more freedom to make choices without fear of losing everything. Think of it this way: if your salary is just one piece of a larger puzzle, losing that piece doesn't mean the whole picture falls apart. Even small additional streams like freelancing, selling digital products, or renting out a spare room can start to build a safety net that's completely yours. And once those streams grow, they can become a springboard to even bigger opportunities like investments or business ventures. Now imagine if you had an extra $1,000 a month from a side hustle or investment. How would that change your financial freedom? Building multiple income streams is a game changer, but here's the thing. Sometimes creating those streams means using a tool that most people fear: debt. and millionaires know how to use it to their advantage. Not all debt is bad. In fact, some debts can make you rich. When I bought my first rental property, I used a mortgage to cover 80% of the price. At first, it felt incredibly risky. What if the rent didn't cover the payments? What if the property didn't appreciate? But today, that same property not only pays for itself but has increased in value by 30%. This is what millionaires understand. There's good debt and bad debt. Good debt is money borrowed to create more wealth, like business loans that fund profitable ventures or mortgages for income-generating properties. Bad debt, on the other hand, drains your resources, like credit card balances for things you don't need. Another thing millionaires understand is that good debt often creates leverage. This allows you to control more assets with less of your own money. For example, by using a mortgage to buy a rental property, you're not just owning a piece of real estate. You're amplifying your returns by using borrowed money to generate income and build equity. Are you avoiding all debt out of fear, or could you use it strategically to build wealth? Let's move on to the next belief. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Have you ever looked back on a decision you avoided out of fear and wondered, what if I'd just gone for it? I remember when I left a stable job to start my own business. It was one of the scariest decisions I've ever made. My income dropped, my routine was upended, and I questioned myself daily. But that discomfort, it forced me to learn, adapt, and grow in ways I never would have if I'd stayed in my comfort zone. Today, that decision has paid off tenfold. Even Jeff Bezos left a cushy Wall Street job to start Amazon. If he'd stayed in his comfort zone, we might not have the e-commerce giant we know today. Comfort doesn't just keep you stuck, it can blind you to opportunities that are right in front of you. Think about it. When you're comfortable, you're not looking for ways to improve or grow. You might pass up a business idea because it feels unnecessary or ignore an investment opportunity because it seems too risky. What millionaires understand is that growth isn't just about taking risks. It's about becoming someone who thrives in uncertainty. They know that the discomfort of learning a new skill, facing rejection, or entering an unfamiliar industry is where transformation happens. So, what's one thing outside your comfort zone that could change your financial future, and what's stopping you? There's one more belief that ties everything together. Millionaires know that failure isn't the end. Do you remember the first time you lost money on something? Maybe it was a bad investment or an unexpected expense. How did it feel? I remember pouring money into my first big idea. It failed spectacularly. I lost everything I put in. But here's the surprising part. That failure taught me lessons about money I couldn't have learned any other way. It wasn't the end, it was the beginning of something bigger. Every successful entrepreneur has a story of failure. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first TV job. Steve Jobs was ousted from Apple, but they didn't let failure define them. Instead, they used it to fuel their next big success. Failure doesn't just teach you what went wrong, it also reveals what you're capable of handling. When you lose money or face a financial setback, you gain resilience and a sharper sense of judgment. Millionaires see failure as the ultimate feedback loop. Every misstep is a clue about how to refine their approach and come back stronger. What's one financial mistake you've made? And how can you turn it into a stepping stone for your next big win? If this video sparked a new way of thinking about money, hit that subscribe button for more strategies like this.